violence against women takes place in many forms, some visible and some hidden. It happens in homes, workplaces, streets, and increasingly online. But women don't realize that India has built a framework to protect them. Laws, policies, schemes, scholarships, and even institutions designed specifically to ensure women's safety. Most Indian women do not know that they have legal recourse. They don't know their rights. They don't know the helplines to call or which form to file or which police station will actually listen to their problem. Today, we are changing that. I'm Nishka K. Gowda, and today I'm speaking with Miss ACP Priyadarshini Sarnikopala.
Sanikop.
Sanikop, okay. North Karnataka, I'm Nishka K. Gowda, and today I'm speaking with Miss ACP. Sorry. I'm Nishka K. Gowda, and today I'm speaking with ACP Priyadarshini Sarnikop from the Bengaluru Police Force. Someone who just doesn't enforce the laws but understands the ground reality of how they work. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, so I want to start off with asking that recently through the Suchi scheme, girls in government school have access to free sanitary pads, but how is it actually enforced in case the funds get over midterm? How do these girls still continue to have access?
See, funds and all is a policy matter. So let's not speak about policy matter.
Okay.
So Suchi is the scheme brought up by the Karnataka government. Like they are giving out all the sanitary pads for the girls from 10 to 18 years.
Yes.
So however they require best. But the very good aspect of this part is there is one line in the scheme where they say that whenever there is a shortage of pads, they have to go to the nearest primary healthcare centers to access the shortages. So that has been linked with the health ministries and all. So it's a very nice program and it's helping a lot of people to go, lot of girls actually to ensure their menstrual health, because that's also very important for overall women health well-being. So it's a very nice program, and yes, it's always been monitored by health ministry and it's going good.
Okay. Ma'am, and in a law enforcement perspective, do you think menstrual health should be seen as a public welfare issue or just a personal issue?
I can neither say it can be public or personal. It's about, every girl child should be given a little bit of education about this in her own family, because if the mom doesn't speak, if the dad doesn't speak about this, and if she gets to know from the counterpart, from the teachers, from the friends, so that will be little overwhelming to the child.
Right.
So it has to be taught from the home level, it has to be taught from the personal level. Then slowly it will become like, if everybody is getting educated at the same level, so it can reach up to the social perspective. So it should start from home.
Okay, ma'am, and do you think teaching boys about this is as important as teaching girls?
Yeah, boys can be sensitized about this. Teaching matlab, we can sensitize them. Like it will be like this, it will be like this, so that even before anything they will get to know, oh, these are the things our sisters are undergoing, these are the things our mothers are undergoing. They'll become more sensitized and normalized.
Correct. Okay. Ma'am, and recently Karnataka has brought about a menstrual leave policy, and it says that they don't ask for proof as such. But if a woman takes around 3 to 5 days every month, and if her boss or manager secretly reduces her appraisal, how can she prove that bias?
See, it's again a policy matter. It's all about like, let's not go about policies, but the thing is, it is said that 1 day leave compulsory, it should be given to the lady as per the policy. So that can be taken. See, if some of the company bosses or some of the people are doing, we don't even know. We are not even yet sure of that what's happening. But the thing is, I am telling you, this is a normal course. This is a nature course. Yes, of course, there will be some discomfort, there will be some pain, but literally with a strong willpower, we can overcome it. And there are women who even work, in the armed forces, in the police force, where all there will be some emergencies. We can't keep saying that we are in this, we are in that. So we need to keep working about this. So what I feel is, at the personal level, this is not a weakness. Because of that, the whole world exists.
Correct.
So that's a beauty of nature. So that has to be instilled in the mind of children, especially the girl child. She should not feel weak, or she should not feel something demotivated by this, that like we have cramps, we have pain like this. And one more thing, you asked if somebody is lessening the leaves. That doesn't happen. See, leaves, everybody have a leave, have the leave policy according to their companies, according to government jobs, so they're entitled for it.
Okay. And ma'am, I wanted to ask if there's so many workers who are not in IT sectors, construction workers or just gig workers as such. Do such policies reach them, or is it just for industrial?
No, it's for policies is like they have done for a government workers as of now. See, when there is they are all known as unorganized sector. Unorganized sector, they can always take leave as per their whatever they feel like they can take the leave, because it's a daily wages, on daily wages they are being working. And yes, they also have labor laws. Yes, of course. Even if they are unorganized sectors, there is a labor department to look upon them, and they'll be having labor cards, and they'll be having labor laws. There'll be PF, PPF and all. Yes, of course, they'll be also covered with the rules. But as per the policy matters is concerned, there will be set rules and regulations, so which is applicable to whom and all. So that has to be seen with the Hawkeye. So then we'll know, then only we'll understand how this policy can be literally, entitled to whom anta.
Okay. And every now and then, as a part of our college committee, we go to legal aid surveys in villages. And I found that most women, instead of going to the Swachh Bharat toilets that have been built in the daylight, they prefer going at night. Do you think this is a toilet problem, or a problem with the village people's mindset of women's bodies?
So it's not about mindset. It is not about bodies. See, there are some things at village level we need to give awareness. Because in cities we don't find all these kinds of things what you are telling. But maybe in the farthest rural areas, maybe even I'm not sure of that. But yes, if there are some NGOs, like there are many NGOs who are helping at the grassroots levels. They're going and they're giving awarenesses. And the thing is, main important thing is the toilet should be maintained also. If they have their own toilets, they would have never come to the public toilets. When they're coming to public toilets, there should be sanitization, it should be maintained. And if it is very near to the main roads and all, so that might create some problem for the ladies to go there in the this thing. So I feel that people should be sensitized, and they should be given knowledge about the usage of all this. Then we can always see that it will be open defecation will not be done anywhere. Yeah.
Ma'am, and in many board exams across the country, most girls tend to be toppers, but their families still push them towards safe careers such as teaching that don't have irregular hours. But even if the girl wants to pursue something like law or engineering, what would you advise?
See, this is all a Gen Z age. Gone are those days where people or the parents were pressurizing the girls, you do this, do that, get married at 21, get off. But now, no. Now parents are very educated. Parents want it might be girl or a boy, they're not differentiating. Parents want their child to be more educated. And it was there, very long back what you are saying. But now, safe career is according to you, what is a safe career? See, what all our heart wishes to do, I feel that's a safe career. And the career should give you a kick in what you do, what you perform, what all you do. It might be any career. It should give you a kick. It should keep you young at heart. Then you're truly you're living your dream. Otherwise, if you're living others' dream, then you'll be not be happy one day.
Correct.
So what I feel is working should be happiness. It should not be punishment.
How did you realize that you want to join the police force, that this will make you happy?
Because this is all because of my dad. So my dad used to take me. I was born and brought up in Dharwad. So whenever there used to be a new SP or a new DC appointed in Dharwad, he used to take me and we used to sit across. I used to finish my school and I used to see people going inside with the sad faces and coming outside with a smile on that face. So then I thought, oh, there is something magic here, because people are smiling when they're coming back. So then I thought, let me add a smile on people's face. So I thought that gave shape to my career destiny. Then I thought I'll be civil service only, and especially khaki had a lot of impact on me. In fact, my dad's cousin brother was also SP. Now he's retired SP. So Nilkant Sanikop. So he also had uncle had a lot of effect on me. So like how I wanted to become civil servant, and yes, Sam, the manifestation.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, and I know not all women have had this privilege to pursue higher education or to pursue the career that they wanted. Do you think for girls who don't have the same opportunity, is there any government scheme, or can the police enforce their power in such situations?
See, education as of now, police can't enforce anybody to go and join, or police department will help to prevent crime and to prevent law and order. So this is detection and prevention of crime is our major work, and to prevent law and order and to prevent peace and order in the society is our main work. But yes, of course, there is a Department of Education, Department of Primary Education, Department of Higher Education, college directorate. There are many departments which are only focused for education. They are doing wonderful job in Karnataka, and they are doing lot of programs also, like Nalikali and Marali Bashalege. Lot of things are going on in the education department, and so education right now we can see the what we can say, gross enrollment ratio is also been increased at the primary schools, and especially they're giving in the government schools also the quality has been improved. They're giving textbooks, they're giving dresses, and they're giving computers to the schools. That itself has a lot of impact on the students, and the teachers are also well versed. All the government teachers they have to clear TET, so they are well versed in their qualifications also. So that's how I feel. Police department, if anybody will approach, yes, of course, many mothers come to stations saying that please tell my boy is not studying properly. We'll just tell that boy, with a passion, compassion, and we'll send them off. So it is just that we can put a word, but there are different departments who really work on this matter.
Okay, so if a department finds out that a 12-year-old girl is not going to school, they'll approach her family?
Some people come and approach. Some people really come and approach, and we will console the child and we'll send him back.
As someone who is very interested in litigation, I want to become a litigation lawyer. Sometimes I think, what if one day I have to argue in front of a bench full of male judges for some women issue like menstrual rights or something? So do you think, to prevent such scenarios from happening, should there be a quota just for women to become judges, or would it dilute merit as such?
No. See, why we should ask a quota for women? That's how I'm telling you. There's no differentiation between men and women. In 12th century, there's a person, there was a Sharana, great Sharana known as Jedra Dasimaya. He says that in Kannada there is a vachana goes by like this: Male mudi bandare hennembaru, gadda meese bandare gandembaru, ನಡುವೆ ಸುಳಿವ ಆತ್ಮ ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಅಲ್ಲ ಗಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲ ಕಾಣ ರಾಮನಾಥ ಅಂತ.
What is it in English?
They say that the male and female is only the structural organization that has, the male body and female body can only be differentiated. How you can differentiate the soul? At the soul level, how you can tell it's a soul of a woman, soul of a man? Soul is one. So all the confidence within is one. How can you say it's a female confidence, it's a male confidence?
Correct.
We can't differentiate. So that's what I'm telling you. It's not about men and women. It's about the knowledge. It's about the wisdom. It's about the discipline. It's about putting across your thoughts how it is. And it's about, we all have one life. And we don't need validation from the outside world. If you really need to fight out for women justice, yes, of course, you can do at any point of time. who is holding you back?
It's
Why no, why we require a validation from other people to speak about own menstrual issues, to speak about own issues? We need nobody. See, everybody are equal par. When you are great at knowledge, when you are great at wisdom, when you are great at your discipline, and when you are great at your communication skills to putting forward. So this is what I mean. This for me, of course, I don't differentiate between anything. For me only is how much well read you are, how much how much wisdom you have, and how much knowledge you are being able to apply at your workplace matters a lot.
okay. I mean, as a woman in power, I know you work in a rather male-dominated field. I think you have a lot of male peers to work with. How would you command respect and not force them to?
Yes, of course. This is one thing. We command respect only by the work
Okay.
and your work style. See, when our work speaks, everything shuts.
Okay.
So, work in silence, let the success make noise. I always keep saying to myself. So, I don't feel male dominated, and touchwood, I have lot of seniors. Matlab, wherever I have worked, lot of seniors are always supporting me, lot of seniors are guiding me, and my seniors are always encouraging me. So I've never felt that injustice at work. Never ever. I have been blessed or no, I don't know, but God has been very kind on me, very great on me. So I've got good seniors and good juniors to work with.
Okay, that's really
Excellent,
nice.
actually excellent they are.
Yeah. Have you noticed any difference between being liked versus being respected?
See, likes depends on your own perception, but being respected is a different level where you really need to know your work
Okay.
100%. So it's like, and you should be always on learning mode. You stop learning, you cease to exist. This is what I feel.
I agree with that because we need that intellectual
Yeah.
stimulation
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Ma'am, in other industries at least, I've heard that a woman's confidence is usually taken down as arrogance. But when a man displays some arrogance, it's seen as leadership capabilities. Have you seen any such bias in your work?
First of all, see, what I feel is humbleness is very important in whatever field we are. If we are humble, this one more word goes by like this: ಬಾಗಿದ ತಲೆ ಮುಗಿದ ಕೈಯಾಗಿರಿಸು. Matlab, we should always be great at learning, but we should always have that kindness at heart, kindness at our gestures, because the world needs more of kindness. The world needs more of love. That's what is lacking now. So if you have lot of kindness, if you have lot of love in your heart, I think respect will flow.
Okay.
You need not to, and you will be liked also, you will be respected also. And with the kindness comes the great wisdom.
I mean, now I just have a few rapid fire questions. Whatever comes to your mind, please just tell me
Yes.
that. What is the best piece of advice you had gotten as a junior officer when you were just starting out?
Never give up.
Okay.
Our KPA director, now sir is IG CRPF, Shri Vipul Kumar sir, he used to always say never give up. I always say to myself, any situation, never give up.
Then were there moments when you were questioning yourself and how did you push through?
No, it was always like, I used to, he used to tell to everybody, so I just picked up that word.
Okay.
They used to tell to everybody. It's not that he used to tell, we were almost some 300 PSIs and some 36 of us, almost 336 people. He used to always say never give up attitude. So that attitude has always helped me a lot.
If there was one compulsory life lesson you would give to school girls, what would you tell them?
For school girls, I would always say life is very, very beautiful. So don't ruin your life just for some, what can I say, infatuation. Because right now we are seeing that a lot.
Yes.
So which is true, that will always stay. I'm saying it in a very coveraged language, which is true, that will always stay. So, and respect your parents, because parents are gods. God cannot be everywhere, so He has placed parents. And those who doesn't respect parents and those who really, disrespect the parents, they'll never be happy in their life. Trust me, they'll be never be happy in their life. So I always urge the school girls to study well, because they have only one work to do. What work they have?
Study.
To study. So they have to excel in what they do, and rest everything will fall in line. Everything will fall in line.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
My 20-year-old self.
Yes, if you
Acha.
could talk with your college self, what would you tell her?
Acha. I used to always say to my college self that I want to become a police officer, because from almost from 9th or 10th year of my childhood only I had decided. So I used to always see I have to clear KPSC, I have to clear UPSC. This was only going in my mind when I was 20 year old. So I used to teach to the, actually at the age of 21 I started teaching also.
Oh,
I started teaching science and technology, and then I taught geographies also in 5 to 6 institutions at Harvard. So my only self goal was to become civil servant.
okay. What do you think is the most important law that every woman should know?
See, there are many laws for women at workplace. If there is a harassment, there is a workplace harassment act, that's known as a POSH act.
Yes.
And if there are, there are some stalking or some online cyber crimes, there are a lot of IT Act. It's known as Information in IT Act 2004. There are a lot of sections into it where it really helps for a lady to lodge a complaint whenever she's being stalked online, wherever there is obscene material. That thing helps. And next there are many sections where woman has been being molested or any rather things happen. There are many sections in see, the IPC CRPC now has been changed into Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita and Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Samhita and Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyama. So the sections have been changed, and even it has been empowered. The sections have been empowered, especially in the women related aspects. So there are many laws like POCSO is there, under 18, for the child related aspects. And yes, we have a special juvenile police unit being placed at all the police stations, where under 18 the children in conflict with law are being held with the plain clothes by police officers, and we have created a separate rooms for them. So a lot of laws are there, and it is only thing is ignorance of law is not excusable. So like being a law student, it will be responsible for on you all wherever you can go for schools and colleges. So if you can put across for the POCSO Act, or you can put across for the JJ Act, what it says and what are the main things. So it would be helpful for all the students there.
Ma'am, we actually do that. We go to junior colleges
Yeah.
to explain a bunch of Act, Motor Vehicles Act, POCSO.
That's really
domestic
required
violence.
now.
Yes, true. Ma'am, what do you think is a woman's biggest barrier and her biggest weapon?
Mind,
Mind, okay. Both. Barrier
barrier
and weapon.
and weapon also.
Okay.
Just think.
Why do you think
about
it's
this.
a barrier?
Because why मतलब क्या होता है, we dressed well and we feel like what people will say, then why did you dress at the first level? And we get ready for a speech and we think what people will say if I speak, then why did you go for a speech at the first instance? That's a barrier. And weapon, if your mind is strong enough, nothing can hold you back.
True.
Whatever you want to do, you will always do.
Correct. Ma'am, what is your proudest and scariest moment in your uniform?
Proudest means we saved one life, at Chamarajnagar, the back way in Chamarajnagar in 22. There was a floods at the end of 22. There was a lot of huge flood, and the one person was almost almost some 1 kilometer away from us, and it was full of water. With the help of revenue, with the help of fire force, we could save that one life, where everybody had threw their hands up. So that was the proudest moment when he came back, and when we saw him, crying out. that we were saved by you all ಅಂತೇಳಿ. Then that was the biggest thing that I felt literally very elated by that move. And every year on my birthday he calls me, and his son calls me and he says, because of you my father is alive today. So that's that really gives that satisfaction. And the scariest moment, see, why do we scare?
There has to be
Matlab,
something.
what I feel is scariest moments means whenever big bandobasts will be there.
Okay.
You know, not stampede and all. Whenever some big bandobasts will be arranged, the day before that,
Okay.
like I'll be praying to God, like because it will be like after execution only, proper execution only, everything will fall in place. So it's not scary, but it will be like little bit at the prep mode.
Okay.
So that will be in like what can I say, restless mode, not scary mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, and this is the last question, and a genuine question I also am very curious about. Women don't get the same privileges when it comes to family life. We don't we are more responsible for the kids, for the household, or that's how society puts it at least. How would you balance family life and your work life?
All thanks to my husband, Dr. Santosh.
Okay.
Because he's the mother of my family, because he takes care of me, of my child, of my whole home. So if you have a good understanding husband who really feels like we both are like friends. So when we are like friends, there is no differentiation at all.
Okay.
Yes, of course, we see there are some people who are not having this privilege, but yes, when we marry a person who knows us, what we are doing and what job we are doing and what our job demands. See, my job demands lot of time from me. My job demands a lot of sacrifices from me. My job demands a lot of commitments. And yes, of course, in turn I get a lot of respect. In turn I get a lot of accolades. That is also there.
Correct.
When it demands and when I fulfill the demand, there will be prize also for that. So our better half should understand this. Then any job, anything will go very smoothly.
You didn't feel any pressure from society saying you should take up more work than your husband?
No, never.
Okay.
My parents are also very supportive. My in-laws are supportive. My friends are supportive.
Okay.
So it's like it's a very good environment I've been brought up. So I've never felt this.
That's all we have for today. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
being
you
a
so
part
much,
of
Nishika.
this.
Thank you. It was